It's not you, when Wing comes in.
Yeah, we'll get Wing over there.
Did you get passwords and get all that so that you get on? Yeah, it's just not happening for her. But
It's just not letting me on mine. That's fine.
I think it's safer.
Yeah.
It's part of the remind a lot of space. Table, like down and around. Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the June meeting of the Sustainability and Climate Commission. Today is Thursday, June 18th. I know that this is the Thursday ahead of a long weekend, so I do want to appreciate you taking the time to spend your evening 6 to 8 p.m. with us here. I know there's also some various tech issues, and so we'll have staff come and remedy some of the hiccups that are happening. But again, thanks for being here. Welcome. I'm Vivian Satterfield, your Chief Sustainability Officer. Use she, her, or my name as pronouns. Tonight is actually a really exciting meeting because we're talking about our climate action plan. We're going to be also welcoming our newest commissioners and alternates after they've been confirmed by council into the fold. So really looking forward to the conversation that's going to be happening this evening. And this meeting is being staffed by our regular cast of staff, Elaine Bieska-Livingstone and Wing Grabowski for technical support and other commission support. I don't see other staff in the room today, although folks may be joining online. And then it sounds like we're also having a hiccup on when our catering is going to be delivered. So I'm sure we will see and smell that when it is here. I'll go ahead and hand it over to Co-Chair Jose to get us started.
Thank you, Vivian. Again, my name is Jose Gambrero Georgeson, he, him, L pronouns. Thank you for being here and welcome to the commission meeting. Next slide, please. Okay, this is our agenda for today. Just so you could see, I don't know why I'm also having tech difficulties. Okay, there it goes. My notes keep kicking me out of my notes and then going to just the slides, which is not helpful. But this is the agenda. You see what we're doing today. Today is our long meeting reminder. We all agreed on the long meeting last time we were here. So come 8 o'clock and you want to leave, it's all your faults. But it'll be good if there's a lot of stuff scheduled for us to do. If we get through some of it early, we might get out early. But I do want to welcome our incoming commissioners and alternates. But I'm going to present, so just so you're aware, because we do have new people, I'm going to present everything fully, and I might repeat some things or remind some things that we're all very much aware of because we have new people in the room. So just bear with us, just in case. We're also going to have an icebreaker today that will have each a minute or less to answer, please. A minute or less. The part when I said getting out early, things like keeping it to a minute or less hinges on that. Vivian and Elaine have the climate action plan, development work plan. We won't have much time for discussion today, but there is an additional question in the meeting feedback form regarding that. So please make sure you fill out your feedback form always, but importantly today, because there is this question about the climate action plan in your feedback form. And Elaine will put it in the chat at the end of the meeting. I find it helpful to just click it before the meeting ends and have it open. And lastly, we're gonna need to elect co-chairs per our bylaws. Next slide, please. And we'll start with our regular meeting introductions and reminders. Next slide. We'll review the notes about this meeting and our working agreements like we do every time. Next slide, please. The notes about this meeting. So this time I'm going to read them more carefully. But the meeting is being recorded via Zoom and will be posted online for transparency. Commissioners, please ensure your name on Zoom reflects your title, and please shorten it instead of commissioner, just COMM period, or instead of alternate alt period, just because if not, you can't really see the people's names. So please change that. And if you don't know how to change your name on Zoom, please let someone else know. We'll explain to you. please raise your Zoom hand, even if you're in the room. It keeps me keep track of the order people raise their hand in, so please, everyone, please raise your Zoom hand even if you're in the room. And please say your name every time you speak. That's helpful for accessibility reasons. If someone's watching the recording and they can only hear sound, it's helpful if you repeat your name before you speak again. I'm notoriously bad at that, so forgive me if I forget. Also, public comment individuals will be called on by me when we get to that point. And all the materials for this meeting and all our meetings can be found on the event page at portland.gov/SEC/events. And as you see, the person hovering in the room with the yellow glasses is Wing. He's our tech help and he will be around to help. If anyone needs help, please do ask. Next slide, please. Okay, working agreements. We typically have someone who is not me read these or just read the bolded areas. So is there a volunteer to read those, please? Okay. Yeah, sure, Stephanie.
Commissioner Stephanie, she, her, pronouns, working agreements. 1, speak with clarity and focus. 2, WAIT, why am I talking? 3, assume good intentions, but attend to impact. 4, be willing to make mistakes and be forgiving of those who do. 5, allow for and appreciate disagreement of opinions, ideas, methods respectfully. And 6, build on other people's ideas. 7, we value participation, both in person and virtual.
Thank you, Commissioner Stephanie. Next slide, please. And now, public comment. We do have one person signed up, so we can go to the next slide, please. And if we could have Eli Spivak, who signed up for public comment. And Eli,
I am showing up virtually. I'd hope to be there in
There we go.
person. Can I be heard?
yes.
Okay, thank you so much. My name's Eli Spivak, he, him pronouns. I'm currently on the Planning Commission, and I was a past member and chair of the Planning and Sustainability Commission. I'm gonna wear 2 hats today. First off, with that hat, I'm glad these commissions split up. I've looked over the materials you're planning on, and goodness knows, there's no way one volunteer commission could take on zoning, transportation, comprehensive plan, and even a fraction of the critical issues the Sustainability and Climate Commission is starting to wrestle with. So I'm thrilled that there is this commission launching. The Planning Commission is plenty busy on its own. Also so good to see great people on the commission. Thanks for serving. And I'm excited that the Sustainability Office will get better staffing. I'm a big believer that strong staff support is essential to the effectiveness of volunteer commissions. That's certainly been my experience. With my other hat, I am a co-founder and continue to volunteer with Electrify PDX, helping people across the income spectrum power their homes with clean energy for greater comfort and a healthier planet. We were inspired a while ago by the Bird Alliance's Backyard Habitat program, and we're also responding to a gap in public outreach and education on home electrification, just as it was becoming more technically feasible to do it. Our focus has been not so much on government policies around climate change, which we fully support, but also especially what we as individuals, both renters and owners, can do about it. So we partner with BPS and Portland Clean Energy Fund to support low-income residents and communities of color. For instance, a couple weeks ago, we co-hosted a resiliency fair at David Douglas High School with nearly 600 people attending, a whole gym full of nonprofit organizations, EV and e-bike rides, induction cooking demos, giveaways, and so much more. And we're on track to be at 40 events in the community this year, as we were last year, where we answer questions, share information, and connect people with resources and next steps. This includes lots of connecting people with great local nonprofits, often funded by PSEF, who are leading this work. But there's also many Portlanders we meet who have the resources to pay for upgrades themselves and are motivated for climate action, but who just need a little education, inspiration, and handholding to actually take that action. So with that in mind, in just 2 weeks from now, I'm kind of giving a pitch. Please join us on Saturday, June 27th from 11 to 3 p.m. for our 4th annual Electrify Portland event at The Red on Southeast Salmon. It's free. We have ice cream sandwiches from Ruby Jules, 40 plus vendors, including BPS. You learn about upgrading your home, electric lawn care, nonprofits will be there, CEP and Verde, and I think more than that. We have one-on-one coaching, induction cooking demos, live music, bouncy castle, and EV and electric bike ride opportunities. I want to close out with a thought, though, looking ahead. You can call the Metro Recycling Hotline to learn how to recycle better. But where do you go to help with your home, yard, and mobility needs to be climate friendly and resilient? You can go to the SCC website, as I've done, to read about a slew of proposed policy initiatives local government is planning, which is great, but where can we learn how individuals can do their part taking action themselves? We're getting to the point where Electrify PDX, which was originally visioned as a 5-year run, is a bit too narrow focused and probably should be run by more than just a small but mighty little nonprofit. My partner Noel, who some of you know, has pointed out that this program should really expand beyond homes to include additional climate-friendly actions people can take, like planting trees to shade homes and sidewalks and shifting to non-carbon transportation choices. Her name for this is Climate Ready PDX, which I think is great, but whatever the name, it should be public-facing, coordinated or led by local government, and address the full range of climate resilient actions people can take where they live, including connections to public resources to help out. Increasingly, cities are providing this kind of information to their residents, either directly or in partnership with local nonprofits. We haven't found perfect examples out there, but leading cities include San Antonio, Texas, where they have a Creating Cooler Neighborhoods program, Bloomington, Indiana, with a great dashboard and specific actions residents can take, and Charlottesville, Virginia, where they have a What You Can Do program, and Eugene, Oregon. As you develop your work plan, which I know you're starting on today, I hope you'll consider not only what government can do itself through policy and programs, but also ways our city can inspire, educate, and empower those who live here to take individual and collective action for sustainability and climate resilience. We need all of those things together. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Eli, for coming to speak to us. Appreciate all your words. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? Is there time for a question? No.
No.
Okay.
Now on to the commission updates. Next slide. We have a few commission updates. We want to make sure we share what we've been doing and status updates. But first, I'd like to invite Chief Sustainability Officer Vivian Satterfield to give us her CSO report and I'll facilitate any questions or discussions afterwards.
Thank you, Co-Chair Jose. My updates are rather brief today. First of all, I want to acknowledge that we're here in June, and June is Pride Month. So happy Pride to all of you. I especially think that the work that the Sustainability Office does is actually grounded in a lot of queer principles, thinking beyond the binary, thinking of trying to find solutions that are across a varied and extremely wide and ever-expanding spectrum. And so it's kind of with that I want to wish you all a happy Pride. To a less exciting and colorful tone, want to just acknowledge that the Portland City Council did go ahead and proceed with their final budget adoption for this upcoming fiscal year. This commission did take an important advocacy action that's within your powers and duties a few prior meetings ago to help inform some of those budgetary discussions. So as an update, and I'll have more information as this process continues to roll out, but the Sustainability Office does have authorization for increased staffing, as you heard acknowledged also in our public comment. So that will likely result in an additional 2 full-time equivalent staffing for the Sustainability Office, which would bring this executive program of the City Administrator's Office to 4 FTE, which is really critical. And those 2 additional positions is really to capacitate the Sustainability and Climate Commission and the work that's happening across the enterprise to deliver on the climate action plan. So that is in response to a lot of the ideas, the advocacy that Sustainability and Climate Commission contributed to, and the tough work begins of having to go through a process to try to find the folks who will be in those positions. So that's my update for now, and my comments are short for this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. I'm glad to see our letter out. Thank you to everyone who helped take part in writing that letter. Again, Jose Mayor Georgeson, co-chair. Now some updates about the leadership team meetings that we've been having. We're gonna continue working on setting agendas. We go over all the feedback forms. If anyone ever wants us to follow up, we'll continue doing that. Like I said before, fill out today's feedback form, and if you want co-chair to follow up with you, we will follow up with you in the next couple of months, and you can also give ideas as to what you want to see in the future, and that way that helps us set agendas. I will be gone the first 3 weeks of July, though. I will be on a boat, so not available. And now to Commissioner Vivek, co-chair of the Policy and Implementation Committee, to give us an update on that.
Okay, hope you can hear me okay. Commissioner Vivek, he, him, District 2. I just wanted to give a quick update about the Policy and Implementation Committee meeting that I co-chair. And staff brought to the committee an analysis on the set of policies. And and Elaine will put some of that in the chat. And this analysis had over a dozen specific, or over a dozen items in it, and the committee recommended to Vivian 3 of those items after a pretty rigorous and deep conversation about the benefits of those particular initiatives. And this had several criteria, including level of effort required, political readiness, background information, local champion, and others. And we made these recommendations following these 3 areas and put those forward to CSO Vivian, who will request a briefing for each of these over the coming months. Our summer is really set up with several briefings on these 3 items. They are building decarbonization, the HART standard, which is championed by Councillor Avalos' office, cooling corridors. It's jointly sponsored, or responsible parties include BES, Bureau of Environmental Services, BPS, PBOT, which Transportation, and Portland Parks and Rec. That's number 2. And then the third one is a transportation package that's from PBOT and related to the pricing options for equitable mobility initiative, and that also includes climate smart street services and congestion pricing. So that transportation package is a little bit larger, but we have those 3 kind of bundled together at this point from the committee's update. Committee will hear from Councillor Avalos' office, I think coming up in early July, on the first on the building decarbonization and HART standards, which I think we've talked about here in the past, and then decision making on how we'll act on these items will come to the commission, and the commission from the committee. All of this will come to the commission from the committee at our next meeting on July 16th. So that's my update from the Policy and Implementation Committee meeting. Next slide, please.
Thank you. Back to me. Now we're moving on with their agenda. I will, just a reminder with the Policy Implementation Committee, the next meeting is going to be that deep dive into HART. If you're not on the committee, you can still go, and please do go. If you want to hear the conversation or take part in the conversation, I think it'll be a good chance for us to learn a lot more about that. And if you have questions, being there might help you. I unfortunately will be on a boat, so cannot be there. So please go in my stead. Now to the icebreaker question. Next slide, please. Okay, each commissioner will have 1 minute to respond to this icebreaker right behind me. And it says, I will start. Great, I will start. But Jose Gamero Georgeson, District 1, he, him, L pronouns. I'm gonna read the question out loud just so that I see it. What's something about you, your background, your gaining expertise, lived experience, etc., that people might not expect to find on a climate commission, and why does it matter here? With the small amount of time I had to think about it, I was before I had my stroke, I was executive director of the Portland Blues and Jazz Dance Society for 5 years. And I'd been on the board for a few years before that, putting on dances, teaching big events that went all weekend. And why could it tie into climate? It's not so much the tie into climate, it's the organizational skills. When you take a nonprofit that's completely volunteer run, that it has big events, weekly events and national events, you learn about a lot about organizing people. And I think a lot of climate work is about organizing people. We don't have the kind of support that this work should have, to be honest, at the government national level. So organization is really important. So I think even though that was like a social fun thing, it taught me a lot about how to organize people behind common goals. And I guess we'll go that way. Mr. Angus?
This way? Okay, am I live here? Yes, okay, yeah, Angus Duncan. And I am inspired, Jose, by your planned vacation to pull this one out of my past. I spent off and on about a year of my misspent youth on an old two-masted 19th century built Danish wooden ship sailing down from Chesapeake Bay to the Caribbean and then living on the boat in the Caribbean for the rest of that period of time. And the connection there, I mean, to some extent, because climate change is omnipresent in pretty much everything we do, it's hard to find something where there isn't a connection. But in this case, I didn't think very much about it until I, did my work for the state of Oregon on climate. And we ended up spending, at least 2 or 3 months talking about climate-driven immigration. And particularly, there are domestic, intra-US immigration or immigration transition activities. But I was more concerned about, and this is a little border security, about movement of people out of Central America and north. And generally there's a broad sort of movement of people from, the hot and poor South into the cool and wealthy North. And I remembered the plots of ground that were being cultivated by the descendants of the Mayan Indians, who surrounded us when we were moored in a river in Guatemala. And how close to the edge those small farms always were. I mean, it was, if you were lucky, you made enough during a growing season to get you to the next growing season. If you weren't, you didn't. And growing seasons have gotten a lot more difficult in places like Central America since then. And people have gotten a lot more desperate. They don't particularly want to emigrate from where they are. It's where their families were and where their history is, but it isn't where they can make a living anymore. And so they up and risk, enormous. I'm out of my minute, aren't I? Sorry. Okay. So there's a lot of risk and it drives people to our border and we don't know what to do with them. And one of the things we don't do is try to solve problems so they can stay where they are.
Commissioner Dana, District 4. I'm a parent of 2 boys. They're teenagers now, but when they were in elementary school, I did a lot of volunteering as a co-chair for the Green Team. And over that time, kind of got an education into Portland Public Schools and just how you try to make change. And we were able to start kind of lunchtime recycling programs, and we got a good portion of the school involved. We planted a pollinator garden. We were composting food and rinsing milk cartons, to great endeavor and kind of effort. And then over COVID, it all sort of fell apart. And even since COVID, now my kids are in high school, but since then, I think that what I've learned was that you cannot build programs based on like virtuous effort of individuals and volunteers. You have to change the systems that make kind of choices like throwing things away, like food and compost and milk cartons. You have to change those types of systems upstream that make it easier to do that than to do kind of the right thing, which is, or the climate friendly thing. So I think that what I learned a lot is just that we have to look upstream and we have to change systems, and that's really hard. But that's really, I think, the role that I want to bring to this commission, because we can't depend on just Herculean efforts of individuals to do the things when it's the systems that continually are the real issue that needs to be addressed. So yeah.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Alma Valls. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from District 4. And I guess mine is that I'm a runner, and especially as it's getting warmer, it's a lot nicer to run in green spaces, places with a lot more shade. And I'm privileged to live in a place where there's a lot of that. And there's some really nice places to run. But it kind of makes you think about how we plan our urban spaces and how much shade affects temperature, and kind of how people without air conditioning stay cool in the summer. So it's just kind of made me think a little bit differently about, yeah, like urban planning and green spaces in the city.
Commissioner Stephanie, District 3. Something about me is that I'm a Zen Buddhist practitioner for maybe 40 years now, and the group that I work with is maybe the leading socially engaged Buddhist Sangha with Roshi Joan Halifax and Upaya Zen Center in New Mexico. And she has made climate and other environmental and social justice issues a high priority. And so it's been very encouraging for me as an activist and a practicing Buddhist that somebody believes putting your faith into practice to serve the community in the world really counts. And this has been a very good counterbalance to many Buddhists and monks and Zens people and yoga and who just want to retreat and pull away from the world. So to have religious leaders reinforce ethical, moral values is a great support for me to be able to do this kind of work. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ben Hodgson, alternate from District 2. One thing about me is that I have a background in wildlife. So I volunteered for a long time at a wildlife hospital where we rehabbed injured animals. And I now work as an analyst at a research lab that looks at the transportation impacts that road systems have on wildlife populations. So I think I've got a sense of how car collisions can impact the safety of wildlife populations and people. And that's really given me a perspective on climate that it's kind of all encompassing, and that a lot of climate solutions can actually have impacts in other areas too. So for example, transitioning away from single occupancy vehicles towards public transit systems would help us meet our climate goals, but it would also improve public safety by reducing collisions and help us preserve some of the natural resources that I think are part of what makes Portland so special. So yeah, I think as others have said, climate is all encompassing, and I view it as kind of a vehicle to make a better world. So thank you, and I look forward to working with you.
Good evening, all. Nora Apter. I use she, her pronouns from District 3. Also formerly worked on wildlife issues for many years, and I moved away from it because it depressed me so much because climate change is so much more cheerful, but excited to connect with you on that. I don't know if my trajectory is all that interesting for what people might not expect to find, but I guess I'll share. I started my career working on like foreign affairs, international affairs, in Congress, working on things like the National Defense Authorization Act, because I wanted to work on the issues that I felt were most pressing, like systemic global issues, and kept being pulled to climate and clean energy, like trying to slip that energy efficiency amendment into the NDA and spent many years at the federal level and just kept being pulled more local and ended up moving back to Oregon to work on state climate policy. And now this is my first time working like directly at the local level. And I'm so thrilled to be able to do that because what I've seen, starting from, the international to congressional to state to local this is really where the change happens, where we make impacts in our communities, where we have the opportunity to directly hear from communities to inform the solutions we're putting forward, and then hopefully serve as an example for all those other systems and levels of government and change. So I don't, why does that matter? Yeah, because the work we do here matters a lot. Glad to meet our new commissioners.
Good evening. I'm Christian Flores from District 1. I would say that my experience, I've been mainly focusing on sustainability and climate throughout my studies at Portland State, and because I've been mainly studying GIS and sustainability, as well as having an internship at a solar panels company, finding solar panel sites for like throughout the United States. But I think a part of my career that kind of stood out to me as unexpected was actually working on a farm. A part of the farm work was actually in the Learning Gardens laboratory within Portland. And during that volunteer work, it was actually very enlightening to see how farm work can change communities, mainly because of how Commissioner Angus talked about how certain communities within Central America can't farm anymore. A lot of our farming practices and how we produce our vegetables and other produce actually can degrade the soil. And that wasn't something that I directly expected to learn from that experience, but it was very enlightening. So I think that class really taught me about community engagement and community empowerment. And I think that that's something that stuck with me. And that's mainly why I wanted to join this commission, because I think that community empowerment is probably one of the most important things. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioner Alina Pachlerin, she, her pronouns, District 2. I also was in the agricultural industry, but I didn't want to really highlight that. What I wanted to highlight about my experience for like half my professional career has been within innovation and startup spaces. And with that, I learned that there is no playbook or just a manual of how to do things. We had to find the sharp points and clarity using data to create a path forward when things are very ambiguous and can be overwhelming. So I think with that, it's been very valuable to use that skill set here and help us navigate to find what is a priority or how do we move forward when there's just so many options to go. And yeah, that's what I want to share. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shub Narayan. I use he, him pronouns. I'm from District 4. And something that people might not expect for me to be on a climate commission is that I didn't come in through like an environmental science background. I got here through youth engagement and firsthand experience. And I feel like I've always had some type of caring about who has a seat when decisions are made. And I feel like climate is a part where that matters a lot right now.
Hi, I'm Maya Pakarana from District 2, and I use she, they pronouns. And something about me that people might not expect to find on the commission is that this commission is my first direct encounter with city government. And for the new people, normally it's a much bigger table with lots of people who I feel have a lot of expertise on the levers of power and how to pull them. So I'm very grateful to them to learn as I go. But I think it matters because anytime something's foreign or new to me, I think about how so many people in the city, it's likely going to be foreign and new to them. And based on my understanding of the climate justice audit, one of the roles that our commission can play is being a bridge to people, everyday people who are working, who have families, who have lives that are not in the know with city politics. So that's why I think it's important to recognize that I don't know a lot and recognize how that might be of use when communicating with people outside of the city government circles.
Thank you. Now we're gonna move to everyone who's online. And since the order keeps changing, I'm just gonna call on you. Commissioner Vivek.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Commissioner Vivek, he, him, District 2. The part that gets me, I really love hearing this stuff. The part that gets me is what people might not expect. So I have no idea what that exactly means, but I might say that I want to build on this wildlife theme and not maybe take it down as Commissioner Nora was suggesting, but take it up in the sense that one of my first jobs was banding birds, and it was one of those things, research things, where it was really interesting to learn about these different birds. And being a closeted introvert in many ways, I learned that chickadees grow an extra appendage on their brain when it's wintertime and things are kind of hard. And this helps them actually be more social and be more engaging when it comes. Squirrel in the neighborhood. Sorry. The chickadees grow this additional appendage, and it helps them be social. And it's kind of like what we need to do here in the Climate Commission is really get out of our individual lives that have so much attention, draw so much of our energy, and to kind of think about what we can do together. And I feel like that's at the core of what the Sustainability and Climate Commission is doing. Is we have to do this all together. And chickadees teach us, I think, a very valuable lesson in that. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Commissioner Carla.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay? Cool. Commissioner Carla Chen, she, her, District 3. I'm gonna answer what I thought about when I first read. And I was born and raised in Brazil, and over there, I think the majority of I don't know if it's still anymore, but the majority is hydropower. And when I was like, I think 9 or 10, we had a very like low water levels. And there was like a really drought season where we all had to really conserve electricity. Like there was penalty. My dad says, I don't remember, but then after we watched TV, I would pull the cable, like, like I would unplug the TV, like to make sure, I don't know, there was no that vampire power. I think that lasted 1 year. And even though you could, I think the government had a lot of like incentives, like if you'd save, and we were really focused on that. But I guess it's something that you maybe expect that, but that definitely changed the way that I see that. Maybe probably many of us down there, the way that we see like water and electricity, because we literally experienced that. It wasn't a situation where we couldn't afford the electricity. It was they couldn't provide. We were with the fear that they couldn't provide, and so that's what I experienced. And I don't know if I need to say why that matter here, but yeah, hopefully we not gonna go through that in any way. But I think it was an interesting experience that I remember vaguely. But yeah, I know how I feel about, I don't know, seeing a wasteful on that sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dan.
All right. Commissioner Dan, he, him, District 3. When I saw this question, the first thing that kind of jumped into my head was I was adopted when I was 11, and that's pretty old to be adopted. Before that, I was in the foster care system and a lot of other not great places. But the experience of that and then being adopted into a great family kind of led me into social work for a while. So not quite climate work, but I worked with primarily men who were in prison and coming out of prison doing reentry work. And then here in Portland, I ran the Clark Center for transition projects. It's a men's shelter here in Portland. And in many of those experiences in social work, and particularly in homeless services, thinking about the people who have little to no power or voice in any of these things is always at the forefront of my mind. And so in this commission and the work I do at the county as a climate and health person, I'm always thinking about those folks and trying to figure out how we can have those folks who have no power and have no voice in these places and in our work. Thank you.
Thank you. Alternate Giovanni.
Good evening, everyone. I'm alternate Giovanni Vaz. I am a student at the University of Portland Go Pilots. And something about me that pertains to the commission's work is that I would say I haven't always considered myself the biggest environmentalist. I'm currently studying economics and political science, so that tends to be more of where my background and interests are. But as part of a course I took at UP last semester entitled Sustainability Economics, I traveled to New Zealand where I got to talk to local government officials, business leaders, farmers, you name it, about how climate change is affecting them at the ground level. And that really inspired me to get involved on a lot of that work here back home in Portland. So I hope my background in economics, public policy is able to change how I think more critically about issues like climate change. And I can't wait to work with you all to address those on the commission.
Thank you. Alternate Sky.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Alternate Sky Dancy, he, him pronouns. I'm in District 4. And as much of my professional life as in the spotlight, I actually spent a good chunk of my youth moving around a lot, mostly based in Eugene to Portland, spent a few years in Hawaii, back to Eugene, back to Portland. And I think that by the time I turned 17, we'd lived in 15 different houses. I went to 5 different elementary schools. And I think kind of, even though that was, many, many years ago, those formative years of kind of always being the new kid, always having to make new friends, actually makes me more comfortable finding the most quiet people in the room and trying to band together with them to raise the voice and draw them out, kind of always feeling like an outsider and trying to increase that inclusion. But in particular in Eugene, right? Eugene in the 70s and 80s was, kind of a hotbed of environmental awareness. And I, being at the foot of the valley, in a time when we did field burning every summer, we would have days and weeks of crop smoke kind of settling and turning the sky orange and making it hard to see and breathe. And whether it's that or solid waste and recycling, or even some of the kind of Native Hawaiian arts and crafts that we learned in elementary school in terms of making tapa cloth, using breadfruit, and recycling paper, just kind of really made that a very foundational part of who I am. And so I think that's maybe what's drawn me into the overall efficiencies and closed cycle thinking of sustainability. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Galen.
Hi there, Commissioner Galen, he, him in District 2. Maybe it's just because it's the St. John's Bridge here, but I am an open water swimmer most of my life, and a number of years ago did a swim from the Selwood Bridge to the St. John's Bridge. And I think what this makes me think about in relation to this climate is how impactful the Big Pipe project has been to the city. And I think you're seeing that more and more with Human Access Project, the swim that just happened this past weekend, and how important the river is to our city. And the Big Pipe project was, we don't really see it, but the impact that has and the logistics and the many years of probably meetings like this that it took to get that to happen are so important. And I think it's really important to keep in mind the end goal and kind of the what's possible 10, 20, 30 years down the line. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Jessica.
Hi, can you hear me? Great. Yeah, Commissioner Jessica Zahn, she, her, District 1. Bear with me, I'm a little congested today, but boy, Elaine, I got to tell you, this is like the hardest icebreaker question. I think I've had to do it in a long time. So, because I feel like so much of my background has been related to environmental things, and but what ended up coming to mind for me was that that I think truly feels a little out of place is that I grew up as a drama kid in theater and stage management, and that's something that taught me about how you take something literally from a script and words on a page and you create something amazing out of it. And all along the way, there's so many people in the background that nobody ever sees that are controlling the lights and, you know, pulling up rigging and doing costumes. And there's so much things that go into creating this one moment, this one maybe brief performance or something that's kind of fleeting and ethereal. And this is not to say that I think this work is performative by any means, right? But it introduced me in a way to systems thinking, and I think it's really helped me understand that so many people come together to make things happen. And Galen, what you were saying there about how we don't see the big pipe project, right? Like, you know, I remember when that happened, but you know, every time there's a big rain, I want to go check and see how the pipe is doing, and it's there in the background of our lives. And so, you know, together that, you know, a large group of people can really make something meaningful happen together. But to get there, there's a lot of work. And I think that that's something that I get to think about when we all come together, because, you know, there's a lot to do. And I think the deck tonight felt like, you know, there's a lot of good things that we're going to be getting through. But in the end, I think it will be very meaningful for our communities, for each of us, for the people that we love and care about. And I think that that's hopefully a positive attitude and something I'm excited to bring.
Thank you. Alternate Garrett?
Hi, everyone. Alternate Garrett, he, him pronouns, District 2. Apologies, I'm not on video. I'm calling in from Grand Rapids, Michigan for the LPGA tournament. I'll try to be brief about talking about sports, but it's also somewhat of the background and experience that I have coming into this team is that I've been working for several years in sports and sustainability consulting, both in my current role with WM, formerly known as Waste Management, but also with a group called the Green Sports Alliance, in trying to build out all of the best practices and sharing those stories of what sports teams, leagues, and colleges are doing across the country to use sustainability in the environmental world as a sounding board for other opportunities of building up these communities across the country. But ultimately, how it impacts this commission, I think it's really important for all of us to not just listen to each other and the experiences and the best practices that we each have from our own professional and personal lives, but also from the communities that are within each of these districts. And what each of these sports teams and colleges all have in common is that all of these groups have very diverse and devoted fan bases, all with, of course, this common goal of some type of a championship or winning season or whatever that may be. But ultimately, these communities all come together in so many passionate and intricate ways. And I think that certainly is something that we can all kind of rally behind, not just here in Portland, but in each of the other different micro communities and small districts that we have across the city.
Thank you. Now, I think I got everyone, but did I miss anyone? Because it's hard to keep track with the online people. Anyone? Okay. Well, I don't think they're expecting this, but I would like to hear from Elaine and Vivian and Wayne. Who wants to go first?
I think I've been prompted to. Hi, everyone. Wayne Grabowski, he or they pronouns. I work at the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability, soon to be brought up to the Community and Economic Development Service area. And pardon me, my role is to support community and partner engagement at all staff at the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability, and increasingly, and now intentionally, other areas as well. And I've been really delighted to have supported SCC since it was an idea, and to continue being here. Something surprising, I was not preparing to speak, so
You've got something.
yeah, that is something right there. You said Chesapeake Bay earlier. I actually grew up in a waterman's family on the Chesapeake Bay and was very aware of the environmental degradation created by our own livelihood. And that actually led me to environmental activism and volunteering. And I will hand it off to Elaine.
Elaine Visca Livingstone. I use she, they pronouns. Really enjoyed hearing all of you answer this question. Also, Banded Birds, was a soil scientist and worked with farmers in Iowa and natural working lands in Hawaii. But what comes up for me when I think about this question that I don't think a lot of people expect, that I came from an immigrant family. So my grandparents immigrated in the 50s. I grew up in a multi-generational household, including taking care of my grandma in hospice in our dining room for a year when I was in high school. And something that taught me was watching my grandparents and my parents assimilate to being American, but also bringing through their culture and caring for one another. And what that reminds me of working with you all and working on this climate commission is that we all bring our humanity and our experiences to this work in a multitude of ways, and being grounded in our individual values and our values as a whole.
Jose, for inviting us to contribute. Vivian Satterfield, your Chief Sustainability Officer. Gosh, there's a lot of things that draw me to this work, but I think something that folks may not expect is I didn't get my driver's license until 2020 during the pandemic. I actually did not know how to drive before then. I'm born and raised in Chicago. I'm 1.5 generations. I come from an immigrant family as well. But I was in a really terrible accident. I got hit by a car right after I moved to Portland, and not knowing how to drive as an adult and then experiencing something that was so emotionally and physically traumatizing, it took me a great deal of effort to try to feel confident and not have debilitating panic attacks when I was trying to learn how to drive. So everyone staying home during 2020 actually gave me the space and confidence to learn how to drive that. And it's I wanted to bring that up because I use every single mode. I've been a lifelong transit rider. On my first transit ride on my own, I was 10 years old in Chicago. And been always a transit rider. I used to organize transit riders here in Portland on a grassroots level. But I also ride a motorcycle. I ride my bicycle everywhere. So I literally use every single mode of transportation. And so transportation continues to be a thread because it's not about getting from point A to point B. It's about access to opportunity. It's about mobility. And in all my work, I've been thinking about how to bring an abundance of choice and a plethora of options into people's lives so that they can make the right choice in the right moment. And I still believe that, choose the right mode for the right task, the right errand, and take care of each other out there.
Thank you so much for sharing, everybody. It was a really great mix of things that were right in line with the focus of what this commission does and the environment, and things that were completely unexpected. I liked how there were all these overlaps, even though we didn't expect them to be overlaps. I remember taking public transportation to get to high school. I went to a math and science environmental themed high school on an island, so I had to take the public bus there. So there's things also that drove me to environmental work from my youth. I think these kinds of icebreakers are important, and I appreciate whenever we have a moment to be able to share that, because I think you work better with people that you know a little bit better. And we all bring different strengths, and where one person is strong, someone else isn't, but feel free, and hopefully we feel good to ask questions and follow those threads along so that we could all get led to where we need to be. And with that, it is break time. We have 10 minutes, so we'll be back at 7:05. Oh, and food's on its way. Thank you. Are we unmuted yet?
Still mess around.
Okay, we're,
Test.
okay,
Yeah, I've done, been a Zen.
everyone, please make your way back. We're about to get started again. Just a heads up, the food just got here, so some people in the room will be getting up to go eat. But we're gonna start with the next section so that we can get going. So if we could go to the next slide, please.
They need to brief us.
And as a reminder, we're going back to our agenda to the briefing now. Next slide, please. And the outcome for this agenda item is really just a shared understanding of our work plan moving forward. We won't have a lot of time for discussion and questions this time around. This is mainly to get information, but please, the point of giving this to you now is so that you can really think about this information so that we have a lot of good questions to discussion in the future. And any of those questions, any of that feedback, so you don't forget it, please put it back in your feedback form. This is one of those things I mentioned at the beginning that I was going to say a lot. The feedback form, I hope you getting that. That's one of them. Please do fill out the feedback form. It'll help us plan our next meeting. But now I'll hand it over to CSO Vivian and Elaine to present on the CAP development plan.
Next slide, please. Thank you, Co-Chair Jose. For the record, Vivian Satterfield, your Chief Sustainability Officer. All right, y'all. For those of you who've been with the commission from the very beginning, this has been a long time coming. For those of you, this is your first commission meeting, lucky you, because the anticipation has not been building in quite the same way as it has been for some of your fellow commissioners. I know a lot of folks have been awaiting this moment. The same anticipation has been happening a titter within the administration as well. A lot of climate practitioners and staff have been awaiting this moment. And so staff, we've been going on a bit of a roadshow, showing the various climate practitioners, going to city leadership, for me, sharing this with the city administrator directly as well. And so a lot of folks have seen some of the draft beginning iterations. Some folks have seen this exact same one, but there's a lot of excitement and anticipation and a lot of alignment that's starting to form in all the spaces to be able to support you and prepare this commission for the work that's coming. And I know that very soon the public will also be seeing this in a more visible way as this meeting is being broadcast live, or rather it's going to be recorded and shared out, and more people are starting to ask. And so there's going to be a point in time in which this will become much, much more visible. So thank you for the critical role that you have in doing that. The processes and culture setting that we've been doing together since September is a strong foundation to support this work plan. So the thing that I want you to embody is the conversation that we just had right before break, getting a little bit of insight into everyone's why, just a sliver of everyone's why, because I have the benefit of knowing all of you on a deeper level and the multifaceted people that you are and your stories. And so I know we're just shared one sliver, one surface bit of why you all are here and the sort of talents and riches that you bring to this work together. But my ask is for you to really see yourself in this work. And I say this for not just the sitting commissioners, but especially to the alternates as well. See yourself in this work and ask yourself continuously, because while we do this work through the next few months together, things are going to feel like they're going to come in waves. There's going to be points in which we're feeling like we lost the plot. We're going to go down rabbit holes together. There'll be times in which staff will have to be responsive to processes and respond to what you all want. And so with that, let's try to surf this together. But to really see yourself in this work and how you can contribute, especially in those moments when you may feel a little bit of drift and when you may feel a little bit of tension and discomfort. I am a firm believer that agitation is a good thing. Surfacing those things that don't make sense, asking those questions is necessary. Agitation is literally what gets our clothing clean in the wash cycle. And so it is healthy, and I want you to embrace that. And please don't hold back and see yourself in this work and how you can contribute it. So again, we're going to continue to emphasize to provide us as staff with input in the meeting feedback form. It's a really critical way, and I know that there's those of you who've been using that in a really robust manner. That's really helping us to do the work in between these meetings to help be responsive to what you need. Next slide, please. So I've asked Elaine to help lead on discussing the development process, timeline, and next steps in today's conversation. But we'll be covering a bit of the background, what the role that you all have in this as well. We'll be sharing a bit more about staff participation, the development process, and then timeline and next steps. Next slide, please. So first of all, I know that some of the foundational documents that you all have been shared with to help orient you to this work, and I just want you to think back to some of those things and also show out the confidence. I mean, City of Portland was the first United States city to actually have a greenhouse gas reduction plan. That's why there's a picture of a floppy disk for those of you who weren't around in the era of floppy disks. We've been doing this work since the early 90s. Actually, since 1993 was that first plan. I'm going to fast forward, though, not talk about all those foundational work, but just to kind of demonstrate that there's been institutional history. And despite the fact that we keep changing and innovating, and some of the bureaus and the names of those things and the, even what our form of government, looks like has been different throughout that time, Portland has still elevated because Portlanders have continued to emphasize the importance of sustainability and addressing our climate crisis here on a local level, and because we all recognize the importance of local action. And so I just want to kind of speed us up to 2025, some of our most recent history in which the Climate Emergency Work Plan, which is our last climate action plan for the city, the final progress report was released. And something I want to just say about that is, while the planned actions that were in there from 2022 through 2025, 47 discrete actions the city of Portland could be taking to help address some of the worst impacts of climate in our communities. Most of those actions were always meant to be ongoing. So there's only a few of those that actually were able to be completed within that time frame. There's always a recognition, because we're in the era of climate change, that we used to work on the gnarly stuff, right? We're no longer talking about just changing light bulbs or doing some basic recycling programs, although those things are laudable and still needed and necessary. But we're working on some gnarly things that are really difficult and require some deep conversations about economic trade-offs, about viability, about complexity, multi-jurisdictional efforts. And so that kind of is where we're starting from. And so the City Council obviously created this body, the Sustainability and Climate Commission, to create and evaluate the city's next climate action plan, recognizing we have this new form of government and elevating all of you to help advise the mayor, the city administrator, and city council on our climate actions. And as you all well know, this year, importantly, the City Auditor's Office also released the Climate Justice Audit Report, and with the city administrator's response to that, which offers some high-level implementation plan for what we need to do. So the reason why I wanted to kind of share all this is because I want to give you confidence, right? We have a lot of information and a lot of guidance, and we have a lot of help to help guide us in the work that we have ahead of us. Next slide, please. So I don't know if you've all had the benefit of seeing this, how gorgeous this slide is. I've been sharing this out with a lot of folks to kind of show you all as our slate of commissioners and to help share out around the city administration the important work that you do to help guide this work. And I also heard quite a deal of excitement at council as well, to have 20 plus people dedicating their volunteer time, super volunteers, to helping work on the climate action plan. You all have a critical role in this. You will be holding hearings. You will be vetting and doing important work on discrete focus areas that we'll be talking about. So all of you actually have deep areas of expertise, cross-cutting amongst a few topics. So we don't want to pigeonhole you as just an expert in one. We're going to try to activate you in all the different areas. And also importantly, Portlanders need to hear about this work and they want to be engaged in it as well. And I don't want to, I'm just going to be really blunt about it, that, while the city is going through some deep financial crises and, some of our colleagues, their jobs, their roles are being downscoped. Some of them are being eliminated completely as a result of that deep financial, crisis that the city is in. the level of engagement that Portlanders are expecting from us still remains the same. And I really look to all of you to be ambassadors of this work. You are all deeply connected in community. You're all actually deeply fascinating humans as well. And so I know that you have various spaces and are all very civically engaged. And so I'm really looking to you to think about, where are you connected? How can you help be an ambassador and share out this work? Because the engagement that the city, as formally as staff, is going to be able to offer is going to look very, very different from what it's looked like in the past when we just simply had more capacity in that. So the details of that we are going to be able to talk about, but those are some of the things I want to lift up for you in today's conversation to start thinking about what your role in this process is going to be. So as you know, drawing from our greenhouse gas emissions inventory, we know what the sources of emissions are and the drivers. And so that kind of helps determine some of our different focus areas that this commission is going to have. And I want to reiterate here, these are not necessarily the chapters of the climate action plan. They're focus areas and they're things that we need to take deeper dives into and to examine critically. These are not necessarily chapters of the climate action plan. Some of these focus areas are cross-cutting. There will be strategies reflected throughout all of the actions, such as environmental justice and equity. And also think back to some of the work that the Bureau of Planning Sustainability staff offered when they came and presented in this space. We know what is emerging as necessary actions to take in nearly all of these focus areas. These are knowable things that we need to do. Staff have been doing workshops and meeting on these focus areas, for a number of months, and for some of these topics for a very, very long time. And so we're looking to activate all that subject matter expertise alongside, your expertise as well, and think about how all these things can be layered together, and most importantly, as the climate justice audit tells us, how to prioritize those actions. The goal is to have a prioritized plan that can be implemented in this new form of government. So that's why, staff and then myself as sort of that connection to the executive level of city leadership, that's really the role that we play here, is to make sure that we can help translate and be the conduit between what we know we need to do and the feasibility implementation process alongside all of you as well. And this maybe is a line that applies more to my colleagues within the city than to all of you, but it is worth sort of saying as well. The climate action plan is not going to be a documentation process of everything that is happening in the city related to climate. The work of the climate action plan will surface a lot of these cool things and may highlight and may call out a spotlight on some of it, but this is not going to be a process where we're just writing down everything that the city is doing. There is so much that is happening, and I know the city doesn't always do the best job at sharing out or making visible what that is, but the climate action plan has to be bigger than just what the city of Portland as an institution is doing. Our community has an expectation of something more. We will likely be able to have to make recommendations that says, what is the responsibility of other jurisdictions to take responsibility for as well? But this is not going to be just a simple documentation process of like, oh, we're doing this, checkbox. Some of those things will be surfaced, however. Next slide, please.
Question? Just a quick one. So we don't end up with, another laundry list. Are we going to be able to go through a prioritization process so that we are identifying the things that we think need to be done soonest?
Yeah, I appreciate the question, Commissioner Angus. When we get through the presentation, I think that you'll see that some of the processes that we're outlining will help us clarify that. But yes, a goal of this is to prioritize in order to be actionable and implementable.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So the next climate action plan, as you see, this actually is a quite lengthy list because these are some of the sideboards that we have to work with, some of the knowables. The climate justice audit is one of our guiding documents. That's why we asked you to become pretty familiar with it. Some of the frameworks have been mentioned quite frequently here. Some of these already exist and we're currently implementing, for example, the C40 Climate Action Planning Framework. We are a member of C40 Cities. This is one of the international membership groups that we have to achieve leadership standards in order to be a member. For example, we don't pay dues. We have to do things and demonstrate our leadership in order to still be included. The technical core team made of city staff will create as recommended by the climate justice audit. And then some of these frameworks will be created by you, the Sustainability and Climate Commission. For example, the work on our youth framework. Next slide, please. So overall, there is a vast amount of expertise that exists within the city. And one of the challenges I have and that the technical core team will have is actually to harness all of that. We're still scoping how we can work with community-based organizations and other jurisdictions. We're trying to be thoughtful about our capacity and also setting the right level of expectation for some of those groups and other jurisdictions within that. But here, this image, just to kind of talk through it, as I mentioned before, the executive leadership team will be led by me in my role as the CSO. That will include a representation from the mayor's office, the city administrator's office, the deputy city administrators at their level, the various officers. So I'm the chief sustainability officer, but there's a chief equity officer as well. There's a chief engagement officer and a chief communications officer, bureau directors, and council. That will be, there'll be different folks who will be comprised of that executive level. The core team is truly the staff level, technical team. That's going to include staff expertise on a variety of different areas. You'll see here, I just want to call out a few. You've met staff who are experts and really manage our emissions inventory. So they're very much grounded in that data analysis. We have various staff from financial and economic components as well, recognizing that feasibility also has that clear component, and also because we're exploring what climate budgeting can look like in this climate action plan as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge one of the biggest drivers of climate investments in the city and in our communities, the Portland Clean Energy Fund. They are about to undergo their own, climate investment planning process. The climate action plan is going to be one of those plans that will actually come first, that will assuredly benefit that team as they're going through that. We will have a liaison from the Portland Clean Energy Fund on the staffing side, serve as a part of our core team as well. And we're also fortunate that as the city is standing up a new performance metrics office, that we also have a liaison from that as well. So that's a little bit behind the curtain in terms of, what the administration looks like and how we'll be tapping different folks in. Obviously, having someone whose expertise is in communications is going to be really key, because this has to be a workable document and something that is understood by the public. And then we are currently undergoing and wrapping up our work on the climate change risk assessment, which is a scientifically based document that city staff have been doing various workshops on, and also consulting with the scientific advisory panel that I've assembled to help advise on that. And that will be published in October. You all will be getting a briefing on that around that time as well. And so those are all some of the technical inputs and the sort of staff skill sets that will be supporting that work as well. At the very bottom in this light blue, we've kind of cheekily called this group the captains. And these are folks who are really staff subject matter experts from across those various service areas that exist within the city, who will coordinate and who will be assigned to different focus areas and who will be working alongside you. So you're going to meet some of the folks who are the frontline staff who have the expertise in this, and they will be working together to help these work group sessions, to take deep dives in various focus areas. And then, of course, you all as the commission, I see as the steering committee for this work. And then the final decision maker on our climate action plan, after we're done producing it, City Council is the final decision maker. They have to formally adopt it. And they're the final folks who give a sign off to it. And I'm confident they will also have ideas that they want to see reflected in the climate action plan. And it will be incumbent upon myself and various members of the core team and executive team to ensure that we have connectivity and are giving them ongoing briefings on that as well. Next slide, please, which I believe from here on out, Elaine is going to be sharing a lot more detail.
Thank you, Vivian. For the record, Elaine Visca Livingstone. I'm going to return first to this concept of frameworks that we keep repeating over and over. I'm going to first define what we mean by a framework. A framework is a set of guidelines and criteria to prioritize and build our climate action plan. These are cross-cutting and will apply to all of the focus area work that you'll see is set up before us. We have 3 categories of frameworks. Some of them are existing frameworks that are outside resources, such as C40. Vivian already talked about the climate action framework, but they also have a climate budgeting framework. Some the core technical team that Vivian spoke about will create, such as mitigation and adaptation framework and co-benefits and trade-offs to help us prioritize our draft actions. And some frameworks you all are creating. Those frameworks are being created in the 3 focus areas that we are approaching as truly cross-cutting focus areas, which will be each led by a captain. So these 3 focus areas, environmental justice and equity, green workforce and labor, and youth empowerment, are our cross-cutting focus areas, and we'll be creating frameworks for the other 6 focus areas to use in their work group sessions to prioritize their draft actions. A lot more details coming on that. First, I'm going to talk about our timeline. We are currently in phase 1 until September. On the staff side, we've been working since May on this. And this is where staff have started to convene and begin activities. You all are hearing this work plan, and in July and August, we'll have some agenda time for you all to prepare and give feedback to this work plan. So again, please give us feedback in the meeting feedback form to help us figure out what you all need for that. I'm going to come back to this slide to talk about the rest of the phases. But first, I'm going to talk a bit about the development process. So again, phase 1 is where staff have convened and started work. We're talking about a community engagement approach. We're scoping different elements of the plan, doing those initial analyses. Phase 2 is the work group sessions by all 9 focus areas with you all. There's more details on what we mean by that for phase 2, but I wanted to put this framing for you all. So all 9 focus areas will meet monthly for 12 months, each led by a staff captain or 2 staff captains. 6 of the focus areas are drafting their actions, and 3 of the focus areas are more cross-cutting and apply to all the other focus areas. I have more details, so hang on to that thought. Returning to a draft timeline, now we're going to talk about phase 2. Phase 2 is when the work group sessions are happening. Again, 9 commission work group sessions by focus area each month for 12 months. There'll be 1 to 2 staff captains per focus area, and you all are required to serve on at least 1 focus area, but as many as you have interest and capacity to contribute to. We're looking for at least 2 to 3 members for each focus area. We're not making those decisions tonight. You'll be making those decisions in the coming months after we do some more workshopping with you all on this work plan. This phase 2 also includes community engagement that you all are going to lead. You'll see we have some strategies listed, but we know that we need to develop more strategies alongside you. So that's not fully baked, but we do anticipate that you all are the ambassadors for community engagement. Now we're going to talk about these 12 work group sessions. I'm going to repeat myself again. Each of the 9 focus areas are meeting every month for 12 months and going through these sessions in parallel with one another. Our foundation in yellow, session 1 through 3, is October through December. This is where you'll learn what is this focus area, what work is happening within this focus area, who are the key players internally, and who are our external and community partners in this work. What are the barriers and challenges? And what have we already heard from community? What is our community engagement history? Who has been engaged? What communities and partners? And what did they say? Then the next section of work is in the dark blue, session 4 through 6. That's January through March of 2027, is when those 6 focus areas begin drafting their actions and prioritizing, or those 3 cross-cutting focus areas are developing their frameworks and bringing their frameworks to the other focus areas. So those 6 focus areas will start with session 4 being truly generative. So staff are coming with a large list of draft actions. You all are contributing to it from your expertise, from communities, from other cities, from a podcast you heard. That's session 4. Then session 5 and 6 is when you'll start prioritizing. So the first prioritization is by climate impacts. That's both mitigation and adaptation, and will be grounded in the climate change risk assessment that you all are going to hear more about in September. Then session 6 is prioritizing by frameworks from the cross-cutting focus areas. So all of the draft actions will have a justice, labor, and youth lens that are developed by those focus areas. So those 3 focus areas through these sessions in session 4 are developing frameworks, and session 5, finalizing criteria, and then in March, bringing that framework to the other focus areas. Our next session, session 7 and 8, and the green, is when community engagement begins. This is not the end of community engagement. This is when it begins. Community engagement will be ongoing through this whole process. So community engagement will begin in April 2027. Again, we're expecting you all to play a large role in this. We know for sure one strategy we want to implement is toolkits, where staff are providing you all toolkits. You all are then engaging your networks where you're already showing up, where you work, where you live, and engaging community with these toolkits that are provided to you. We know that there's going to be additional strategies. There are many ideas staff have, that our community partners have, that are examples from other cities and other work. We have begun working on the community engagement landscape and gap analysis. You'll be familiar who's doing that work, which is Wing here with us today. And I want to acknowledge that this is also in light of core realignment that you can hear about at City Council for staff capacity for community engagement as well, which Vivian already alluded to. Then in the light blue, we'll do more prioritization. So those 6 focus areas will go through prioritization, 2 separate sessions, one for feasibility and co-benefits and trade-offs. Those other 3 cross-cutting focus areas will be analyzing the results of their framework from session 6, and then have the opportunity to provide feedback to the other focus areas to ensure, for example, that they really did capture the youth lens on the different draft actions. All of the focus areas will go through session 11 together, which is implementation. This ensures that our plan is actually actionable by the city, including starting conversations of how do we evaluate progress. And then lastly, session 12 is a public comment draft at the commission level. There'll also be a public comment draft as part of council proceedings, but for phase 2, you all will also release a public comment draft for more feedback from community. With that, I'm going to return us back to our timeline. So phase 3 is refinement with staff and our service areas and reviewing our community engagement and conversations with our community partners. The commission will be consulted. That will take us through the end of 2027. The end of 2027 is also where we have the C40 obligation to submit a climate action plan. So we will be submitting a pre-adopted climate action plan to C40 to fulfill that obligation. Phase 4 is then 6 months of adoption process with City Council. This will include the mayor's climate budgeting recommendation to council, and then all adoption processes will be by council. For the climate action plan, will be an ordinance with the climate action plan attached. And then they will also be going through their regular budgeting process, but now with climate budgeting integrated into that process beginning in fiscal year 28-29 per the climate justice audit. So some next steps. We're right now in the starred red, May through July. Again, staff have already convened. We've already started meeting with the core team and the captains. You all, this is your work plan briefing. We will be planning to get feedback and input from you all in the coming months. I'm going to repeat again, please fill out that meeting feedback form so we know what we need to plan with you all. Then August through September is staff work. We'll be preparing for those work group sessions. You all will see the climate change risk assessment. You'll see that in September and will be finalized in October. Then in the dark blue, October through December is work group sessions begin. Through the end of the year, you all will be going through foundations for your focus area. Then in the light blue, we'll begin the initial prioritization January through March with the frameworks developed by the core team and by you all. And then in the green, beginning in April, is when community engagement begins and you all serve as ambassadors in that role. We actually do have a few minutes for questions if we want to open that. We have until 7:50.
Commissioner Alma, you can just go. Okay, Commissioner Alma, go ahead.
So at the end of all of this, eventually the council has to approve the plan in order for it to go into effect. And you said there's going to be like some communication with the council throughout the process. But in order for like everything to go smoothly, are we going to be getting feedback from the council in order to ensure that when they do, like when it does come before them, they will pass it?
Thank you, Commissioner Alma, for that question. Elaine on the microphone. One of the things we have talked about for July and August is having small group of each of you going by district and starting to build relationships with your council districts. And then on staff side, we will be briefing council staff and their offices as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Stephanie?
It's a little overwhelming. I just want to say, I looked at this ahead of time and I was glad I did, but I still feel overwhelmed. So I would, so take care of us emotionally, but I would like to ask what you are imagining our labor contribution is. Is this now a 10-hour-a-week volunteer job or 10-hour a month, or just, you've listed a lot of different meetings that will be a kind of major coordination job, I imagine. And I assume we're meeting monthly as well. And one question in relationship to that is our length of our terms. We'll be right in the middle of doing some stuff when some of us whose our terms finish in 27 will just be like dropped from the process. So how can we most use our terms most usefully in the way you've laid out the calendar of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Stephanie, for the question. Again, Elaine on the microphone. Definitely want to acknowledge that this is overwhelming. We will get through it together. We have 2 large teams of staff. We have all of you. We really are trying to build a system that many hands make a light load. So I want us to be grounded in that. Again, you are required to be a part of one focus area, and you can contribute to as many as you would like to. We are anticipating that full commission meetings will be you all updating one another, but there won't be, because we're approaching it with as work group sessions, the people who are serving on each focus area, it's not like one person is responsible for that. We really look for you to look to each other to, if you're serving with another commissioner, maybe one month you are bringing the updates to the full commission and the next month someone else is, right? And so that's part of recognizing one another and working with one another and knowing when you have capacity to give and when you may have to step back because of life and other reasons. There may also be more homework outside of meetings, but again, you have to have trust in one another and look to one another and know that you are a collective. For reappointments, we will be doing a similar process for reappointments like we did with youth commissioners. So we'll be in contact about that. And as the youth commissioners are going through right now, we're already preparing for new members of what does onboarding look like. All of the focus areas will be recorded, so they will have a long list of homework to go through to be onboarded to the process.
You didn't exactly state how often the work groups would meet.
Yes, the work groups meet once monthly.
Yeah, and I will just repeat that everything's recorded. So this was a lot, but the good thing about this is that it's now forever recorded and you can go back to it at any point, just go back. And then the same with previous presentations we've received. There's a lot of information and no one expects any of us to just know all that information from the top of our head, but we have where to look for it now. And those of you who are new, certain presentations were referenced in this meeting that we've already had. So if you're curious, you could just go back, look up the agendas and find those presentations. They're all posted online. Commissioner Angus?
Yeah, Angus. This is 3 years worth of work if you start measuring, back from when this commission was, first established. And presumably, there's not going to be any resolution of, many of these issues until you get into 2028, right? So that's 3 years down the road. That's 36 years after the city first adopted its initial climate strategy. Presumably, all of the work that's authorized under prior strategies is still going to be ongoing. It's not everyone's not going to stop for this, process to take place. And I guess my question is, if between now and the end of this process, the commission picks, 1 or 2 or 3 of the recommendations from the policy committee and wants to move forward with those in advance of the ultimate resolution of the new climate action plan, have you given some thought to how we weave those interim recommendations or changes in? We don't want to undo all of this carefully structured 3-year work plan, but we also don't want to not do anything until, and make any decisions until 2028. So my question is, have you given any thought to how we might introduce measures that or policy changes that we would recommend as a commission to the city council between now and the end of this process.
Thank you, Commissioner Angus, for the question. Yeah, the Policy and Implementation Committee is going to continue its work. And they are going to be looking to, the commission will look to that committee to do that work and bring policy forward as we're developing the climate action plan. That decision-making will still happen at the full commission. And ultimately, it'll be the committee who is working on that, not the full commission. The full commission votes to do that decision-making and makes actions, right? That committee brings that. But the work is happening at the committee level. For bringing priorities or ideas from the Policy and Implementation Committee, we look to you as the committee members, who are several of them here, who are on that Policy and Implementation Committee, to bring that to the focus areas that they're also serving on. So I would ask you to reflect on what's been most important thus far and consider serving on the focus areas that best align with that. All of the focus area or all the Policy and Implementation Committee meetings, again, are recorded, so can be referenced to, and you as commissioners will have responsibility to share that all with the rest of your commissioners. And again, speaking back to that trust.
This is CSO Vivian. I wanted to just highlight one thing, Commissioner Angus, in response to your question, which is I think there's a tension that I do want to name, which is that it is still unclear what the legislative process, the length that we should be expecting to go through city council. I just need to name that because this is a city government that's still very much in its infancy and immaturity in terms of process. We're refining it. And so as staff, we don't quite have the best handle on what the length of the legislative process should be. And I want to highlight attention mostly because in the Policy Implementation Committee, for example, one of the top actions that has been recommended is a concept and an idea that a council office is leading on and stewarding. So as staff, I would anticipate that process could be faster, but I assuredly am not in control of some of the factors of when they want to schedule meetings, of what committee they want to bring that through, what public process they want to own as a part of that, and vis-a-vis an administrative action. I don't have quite yet a good handle on what's the length of time, and is it reasonable to say that we can pass 1 to 3 legislative actions in the time that it will take us to develop the climate action plan? I just want to name that I just don't know, and I have to be honest about that.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. We're all sort of testing the waters here legislatively, and it may well be that there are proposals from the policy committee that are best treated by folding them into this process and working them all the way through it, and other recommendations that would advance much more rapidly, whether it's because there's a legislator who already is ready to move on it, or because there's a legislator who says, yeah, I don't want to sit around and wait for 3 years for this to actuate. I want to get started with it now. So I guess this is all by way of saying, I hope that we can be flexible in contemplating, what's the best way to move an idea forward. And sometimes it's going to be by folding it into the full 3-year meal deal, but sometimes it may be moving it faster than that and basically moving it in parallel. And I want to be open to what's the best way to do that, both so that the action itself gets a full measure of treatment, and that it doesn't in the process upend this careful structure. So that's just the point that I wanted to make. Thanks.
Your point's well taken, Commissioner Angus. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all the time we have for questions, discussions. But again, if you have any other questions, discussion, just enter in your feedback form. We'll get the information over to you and start thinking about some of this going forward, as it'll be coming up more and more. Our next agenda item is to elect leadership for the coming year. So next slide, please. we'll have a co-chair elections as per bylaws. I'll pass it off to Elaine Visca Livingstone to facilitate the elections.
Thank you, Co-Chair Jose. For the record, Elaine on the microphone. Yes, today we're having co-chair elections. This will be elections for 2 co-chairs that share and divide responsibilities and tasks. This means representing the full commission in an official capacity, attending monthly leadership team meetings with the chief sustainability officer and commission staff, provide strategic support, so help us set priorities and assist in agenda setting, and as we've seen Co-Chair Jose do a wonderful job of, facilitate commission meetings and oversee voting processes. For duration, the non-youth co-chair serves for 1 year, the youth co-chair serves for 6 months, or a non-youth 6-month duration if no youth wants to co-chair. For co-chair nominations and voting, commissioners can nominate themselves or another commissioners. Once we have nominations, nominees can give a short statement, approximately 1 minute. There'll be time for any discussion and questions. And then I will send you 2 ranked choice voting links via ranked vote. One for the non-youth co-chair, one for the youth co-chair, and the top ranked commissioner will become our co-chairs for each of those. So we'll be running both of those elections concurrently, and you'll have 2 links to go vote in. So we're opening right now nominations for both co-chairs. I do have 2 nominations that were sent in by commissioners that could not attend tonight, so I have those statements. But I also, if you have a nomination either for a fellow commissioner or for yourself, please raise your Zoom hand. Commissioner Stefani.
Yes, for the sake of continuity and because I feel great confidence in him, I would like to nominate Commissioner Jose. It's been a very steady hand with us, has built relations and draws on a lot of city and community experience. So I hope you'll accept this nomination.
Thank you. I will.
Okay, we have Co-Chair Jose has accepted a nomination. I'm not seeing a hand right now, so I'll read the 2 nominations. One comes from Commissioner Gregg. So I'm going to speak in Commissioner Gregg's voice. I nominate Commissioner Jessica Zahn to serve as one of the commission's next co-chairs. During my time on the commission, I have found Commissioner Jessica's comments and involvement to be insightful and relevant to our commission's mission. We have much work to do in developing and executing the city's next climate action plan, and I believe Commissioner Jessica would be an effective leader as we move into the next chapters of our collective work. I appreciate the foundational work that we have completed as an inaugural commission to help in the creation of this body, and I look forward to us moving ahead effectively and swiftly, aided by the smart and strong guidance of our co-chairs and city staff. Commissioner Jessica, would you like to accept this nomination?
Maybe you could, can see her again.
I would love to respectfully decline that nomination at this time. But I really appreciate those kind words and the vote of confidence.
Thank you, Commissioner Jessica. We have another nomination from Commissioner Celeste, who couldn't be here tonight. Again, I'm speaking in her words. I nominate Commissioner Christian Flores to serve as the youth co-chair. Last year, District 1 barely had representation from the youth. I saw in Commissioner Christian's biography how disciplined he talks about making changes with heat islands.
Commissioner Christian Flores, District 1. I would accept the nomination.
Thank you, Commissioner Christian. Commissioner Alma.
Hi, I would like to nominate myself for the youth co-chair. I recognize that I am new to this commission and have less experience than other members. But I really enjoy and think I do a good job in leadership settings, and I would love to have a larger role on the commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Alma.
Wonder if you could flash back the picture of all the commissioners that was inside.
Yes, and you can also go online and read the bios. If I could have Vivian or Wing put that link into our chat, that would be great.
It's helpful. Other person or no?
Yeah, Commissioner Stephanie.
Well, I want this to be a really interesting vote, Commissioner Stephanie. So let's really think about it, which we did before the first time around. So I would like to nominate Commissioner Carla Chen. Similarly to some of the others' comment, I've always found her bringing a fresh perspective and a useful business perspective with her work at Leica, a can-do approach and a clear experience in leadership. And I think she could do a good job. Of course, I also said that about Jose, but I believe in both of them.
Commissioner Carla, would you like to accept this nomination?
Commissioner Carla Chen, yes, I would accept this nomination. Thank you, Commissioner Stephanie.
Oh, Commissioner Angus.
Yeah, thank you, Elaine. Commissioner Angus, so I also think we ought to make sure we've got, some options here. And while I'm perfectly comfortable with continuing the current leadership, I also have been impressed with how Commissioner Vivek has taken the leadership of the policy committee and has moved those discussions forward. And, I certainly think that he would be someone that we would want to consider also for a chair's role. And so I would nominate him.
Commissioner Vivek, would you like to accept that nomination?
I appreciate the nomination, Commissioner Angus. I would respectfully decline to accept it at the meeting for now. My role in the co-chair of the PIC Policy Implementation Committee is going to take it out of me for the coming months. So I respectfully decline. Thank you.
If elected, he will not serve.
Thank you, Commissioner Vivek. I'm going to embrace the awkward silence to see if any other nominations come through.
Maybe you could read who we have so far between the
Yes.
accept and the declines.
Yes. So here are the accepted commissioners. Commissioner Jose, Commissioner Carla for the 1-year co-chair position, and Commissioner Christian and Commissioner Alma for the youth 6-month positions. When nominations are done, they will have the opportunity to also give a statement.
We'd just like to encourage more self-nominations. Be bold, be brave. Now that you've seen the workload, they'll be really bold.
Yes, if you have a feeling that you might want to co-chair, please self-nominate. Commissioner Galen.
Hi, Commissioner Galen, he, him. I honestly can't remember who the other co-chair is of the implementation committee, but I would like to nominate Commissioner Nora. Just thinking about what you said in the intro and your experience at different levels of government, I think it would be a great leader through this next time, especially as we have a less experienced government in a new form here. So, yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Galen. That's very kind. Sure, I'll gladly accept. Throw my name in the ring. Thank you so much. That's very kind.
Thank you, Commissioner Nora and Commissioner Galen. So now, for the one-year term, we have Commissioner Jose, Commissioner Carla, and Commissioner Nora. And for our youth co-chair, Commissioner Christian and Commissioner Alma.
Move, we close the nominations.
I'm not seeing any other hands. We will move to close nominations. Now we'll have a moment to hear from our nominations directly. Co-chair Jose, do you want to start us?
I've enjoyed being co-chair this first year. I will say the first few months, there was a lot of process. So it didn't feel like I actually got to do work until later. I feel like there's a lot of work left to do. And with the climate bank going, my biggest talents, I think, are facilitating and community engagement. And the bulk of community engagement for the climate action plan falls on this next co-chair. In my last commission, that's when I was introduced to community engagement. And at first I was like, nope. And I had to get a lot of training and coaching and learned a lot of how to do good community engagement to where I love doing it now. And I learned how to help others love to do community engagement. And since that part is going to fall on this co-chair, I feel like I'm suited for that work. I also, one thing I really like doing a lot is fostering leadership. And we didn't have much fostering leadership until very recently. So I've been working with Vivek because my hope is that Vivek does become a co-chair of the entire commission in the future. But we've been talking and it's been great to share a lot of tips and tricks on how to facilitate meetings better and do this kind of work. Because facilitation, while it seems small, when we're efficient at the meeting, that's how we do our work best. If there's problems at the meeting, everything takes longer. And like Commissioner Angus says, we're trying to do a lot of things at one time and not just have one line, but have parallel things working. So we need to be as efficient as possible. And I'd love to help continue that work. Thank you for the nomination.
Thank you, Co-Chair Jose. Commissioner Carla.
Commissioner Carla Chen, she, her. Again, thank you so much for the nomination. Did not see this coming today. And just as I didn't see myself a year ago being part of a commission, but what I know and what I've been seeing and I've been doing is advocating for sustainability. Started as an opportunity at work, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. And once I realized that's way more than, my professional life, that's why I've been dedicating my time. I'm also a board member of a nonprofit. I do a lot of work outside my professional, which is as a sustainability manager, and I do lead a small crew of people and a committee. So I think it definitely haven't been a comfort zone for me, being part of the commission or in manage all of those roles. But I feel like we can wait to be too comfortable to talk about those things. We can wait to be too good. And I would love to challenge myself and to help this committee and those action items to help. I really appreciate it from your firm work that you presented today, Elaine. And I do love data analysis. I feel like I'm a chemical engineer, and a lot of, like, I don't know, sometimes numbers does make sense, and I like the division and the numbers, like how many areas you're gonna work and once a month, and all that we can bring together and put a nice climate plan. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carla. Commissioner Nora.
Thank you. I will start by just resharing what inspired me to join this very important commission, and that really is the work that is ahead in the coming year. But also the foundation that we've built over the many past months together, the slow and steady work of figuring out what are the processes. Shout out to the bylaws committee and all the folks who have already volunteered to take on what may not always feel like the most exciting part of the work, but is truly foundational to setting us up for success in the next phase ahead. I was excited to join this committee because because I believe in our city. I believe in Portland reestablishing ourselves as a leader in the climate movement. And the climate action plan will be essential to delivering that. I work in climate policy for my day job, but as I shared in my icebreaker today, this is really the first opportunity I've had to work directly with the city, with my city, and it is so special, and I'm so honored to do that. So I would be honored similarly to bring my organizational skills, my policy expertise, my coalition building to helping to serve and facilitate this next phase of work. And if I may, recognizing I was similarly not anticipating this, but happy to create some healthy competition. We'll also echo what Commissioner Stephanie mentioned. I do think continuity is something to take very seriously in this next phase of work. Commissioner Jose, thank you so much for all you've done to bring us to this point. It's not easy to be the first commissioner. And so I just want to say that and share that I'm looking forward to leaning in and supporting our next year in no matter the role. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Nora. Those are the candidates for the non-youth co-chair one-year position. Now we'll hear from our youth members. Commissioner Christian.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to say, first off, thank you for the nomination. Although Commissioner Celeste isn't here, I want to say thank you for that. Some of you may not know me since I am a new member. Basically, my background is I just graduated from Portland State. I was studying GIS and sustainability. I have been very interested in sustainability for quite a long time now. You can kind of see it in my volunteer work and also the positions that I have recently acquired, such as I have acquired an internship at the city of Tualatin, working with Public Works, which I want to make a positive impact within that environment. And also my previous internship was solar siting, which is basically finding solar panel farms, sites throughout all of the US. And I think that position really gave me a lot of stick-to-itiveness and also taught me a lot. I think that I really want to make a positive impact on Portland, as it's somewhere that I do call home. So I want to say my eagerness to learn, and also I think acknowledging my failures is also something that is very important to me, because without failures, you wouldn't learn. And I would like to say that I have a lot to learn. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Christian. Commissioner Alma.
Hi, Hi, everyone. I'm also new here. I am a student at Cleveland High School. I'm going into my senior year. I have served on an advisory body for climate justice for the Portland Public Schools leadership, which I think is a really applicable experience. And I also have led the just like climate organization of my peers at my high school for the last 2 years, and I'm going to continue that work next year. So I have leadership experience as well. I would say that my main weaknesses are lack of experience on this commission and also just in life because I'm 17. But I am very eager to learn and step up to the plate for whatever needs to be done. And I just have so much excitement and passion for this work. And so no matter what, I'm really honored to be able to have this opportunity and to be on this commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Alma. I'm now going to send the ranked vote links into the Zoom chat.
Are we voting now? Oh. So I have to figure out how to get on Zoom chat, huh?
Yes, yeah.
See the nod you. You sent the vote? Okay.
Oh, I can just do it off of that. Or
Yes, you can just use my laptop. Okay.
heck of a deal. Oh. Oh. So I can switch these around as well.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that was just so simple. You just voting on me
Yeah, so there's another link. Just give me one moment. I'll
Oh.
pull it up for you.
or the rest of us vote on it too.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Okay.
It appears.
I lost it. How many people?
Lost it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there you
There
go.
it is.
That's good. That's a lot of numbers. Very good.
Thank you.
Simpler.
Has everyone voted? I will wait a minute. If you have not voted, please raise your Zoom hand. I will wait a minute so you have a chance to navigate to your Zoom and raise your Zoom hand.
Okay. Someone could not rank someone?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't realize you could do that. I was asking about how ties are handled on here, because if
Yeah.
there's,
Yeah, I'll explain. I'm not seeing any Zoom hands, so voting has concluded. The results links are in the Zoom chat, so you can open the results yourself. For the non-youth co-chair, Co-Chair Jose will continue serving. For the youth co-chair results, there was a tie. The system with ranked vote voting does have a way of breaking ties, and the system has automatically done that. Commissioner Christian has broke the tie, and it will be our next co-chair. I want to bring you to on the results page. If you scroll down and it has some information of results explanation. The last question is, how are ties handled? If two or more options have the same number of votes at the end of the round, ranked vote looks at how all voters ranked each of those options. The option with the least support amongst all voters is eliminated. So if you remember our first elections, we also had a tie, and the tie was broken in the same way because folks who are voting can choose not to rank one of the options. The system automatically calculates how to break a tie.
I got a question on that. As we were watching the results apparently come in round 1, 2, 3, I didn't myself see ties. I saw it looked like Alma was ahead on all 3 rounds. So I'm having a hard time understanding how the tie or how that jump came from one place to the next. Because we were watching.
You can go through and look at the different rounds. This exact scenario happened in our first elections, where we saw one person leading, and then by the time it came to round 3 and the system was breaking the tie, that it went through the rounds and looked at the way that people voted and broke the tie.
Where do you look through it?
yeah.
If-
I also have a question, because when you pull up the vote, how do you not rank someone? Because they're both listed and you just drag one up or down, but I don't see a way to remove somebody. So I don't know how that's possible. I mean, I'm not questioning the system. I'm just
Yeah.
saying I can't not rank someone. They're just there.
Something is cuckoo because the results say round 1, 9 and 9, 9 and 9, round 2, 9, something. That's not accurate, and that's not what was showing up in the ongoing results. It wasn't a tie through all 3 rounds. I mean, when you scroll down on the results page, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, in the settings, it does say that you can choose not to rank someone, but I see your point, Co-Chair Jose, of when you're actually in it.
I think we should revote. There's something strange here.
Yeah, because I've seen systems, there's a Portland actual survey now that's happening. That a city councilor has out that you can't rank, and all the choices are underneath, and you drag them to a whole different box, and then you rank them above. So you can leave things off, but this one doesn't do that. This one just everyone's ranked.
Well, I sure would like to see the results of the rounds and they're not showing up.
Yeah. If you are on the results page and you see the results visualization with the bar graph, on the right-hand side, there's a previous button
Yes.
and a next button. But now when
They all say the same. They all say.
yeah, and mine has updated now and shown Commissioner Alma as a winner. So there's obviously something going on with this system.
Maybe they can job share it.
Well,
Hmm.
that's how, while you were watching the results come in, that's what kept showing up. So this ending doesn't.
It does look like we had a late vote because it was 9-9 and now it's 10-9. Should we, yeah, let's revote.
Yeah, we want to be fair about this. It matters.
Rank choice matters less when there's two people.
Yeah.
I would just say that.
Well, that's the point. Maybe we should just have a
So-
simple vote.
Okay, so we're gonna do a simple vote. When you hear your name, please tell us who you're voting for.
Sorry, this is such a, cliffhanger, everybody.
Yes.
But thanks for your patience.
Yeah, apologize. Commissioner Alina,
Commissioner Christian.
Commissioner Angus,
Commissioner Alma.
Commissioner Carla,
Commissioner Alma.
Commissioner Dan,
Commissioner Alma.
Commissioner Dana,
Commissioner Alma.
Commissioner Galen,
Commissioner Alma.
Commissioner Jessica,
Commissioner Christian,
Commissioner Shub,
Commissioner Christian.
Commissioner Maya,
Commissioner Christian.
Commissioner Nora,
Commissioner Christian,
Commissioner Stephanie,
Commissioner Alma,
Commissioner Alma,
Me.
Commissioner Christian,
I'll vote myself.
and Commissioner Jose.
Commissioner Alma.
There are folks who weren't called.
Sorry, Commissioner Vivek, you're at the end of my list. Commissioner Vivek,
Commissioner Christian.
Commissioner Alma will be our next youth co-chair.
sorry, but
I'll pass it back to co-chair Jose to close out our meeting.
Thank you, everyone, for that. It was almost exactly to the minute how long we thought it would take, even with all the things that happened. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate serving as your co-chair. If anyone's interested in doing this job next year, and but you're like nervous or afraid or think you are not good at facilitation, we have a year. Just come up to me and I will talk to you, work with you. I'm not gonna run again next year, so let's get someone else up here. And also for the youth commissioners, it's 6 months. And then 6 months later, Christian, I hope you run again. But again, if anyone has any questions or anything, I'm happy to help you. And what slide are we on? Oh, commissioner feedback form. Please fill it out. I'm sorry, this is the first time I'm mentioning this tonight, but again, fill out the feedback form. The link is probably already in the chat. It is. I'm gonna take a second so that everyone can click on it and have it open. Perfect. Now, next meeting, just as a reminder, July 16th, but also, when's the next PIC meeting?
Oh, I wondered about
Seventh.
what
July
day?
7th is the Policy and Implementation Committee meeting. Just a reminder, that one's,
What time is that?
it's during the day, 1 to 3. So I know that's not the best time for everyone, but 1 to 3 PM on July 7th is the Policy Implementation Committee meeting. I will unfortunately not be there, but we are getting a briefing from the counselor's office on some of the things we've been talking about in heart. So if you can make that time, please attend the meeting. If you cannot, the recording will be sent out so you can watch it. I would say of any of them to watch, this would be it. Because there's only so much stuff we can probably like tell you what we learned. This September meeting was rescheduled. Just a reminder, I think there's updated calendar invites, so you should have that. And Elaine's gonna set up a time to meet with all the new co-chairs, me and Alma. And going forward, just so you know, we do have an additional meeting as leadership teams to prepare for these meetings. And we'll get that set up. You'll hear from Elaine. And thank you everyone for attending today's meeting, for all your good questions. And I will see you next time. Bye. Thank you.
Vivian, Carly, do we know who's going to be briefing policy committee and on what on the 7th?
Congratulations, and especially
Yes.
in your presence and making it through a tense.
Councilor Avalos.
On Harton?
Although I did see your note, but you handled it very well. And, yeah. Well, that was difficult, and it didn't happen one time
But say it's
before,
still on Harton.
but it was too weird to let it go by the